Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always a fun run. I love talking with you every single day. You know, you can find us on the radio, icradio.media. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Soon to come up with another TV station. We'll let you know about that just as soon as we get that all worked out. And also you can find us on podcasts too. The Newscasters Studio, thenewscasters.com. So go ahead and look us up that way. By the way, a lot of talk show hosts are on the Newscasters, and they will tell you the truth. So if you get your feelings hurt really easy, you don't want to even go there. So just go ahead and just don't go there. That's all I can say. But anyway, I go there because I love getting correct information. I want to know what's going on in the world, and whether that applies to, what we do for a living, or whether it's, it could be political, and also, just plain on knowing how to do stuff that our ancestors did to survive. If something were to happen to the grid, if something were to happen to the supply, we all went through that before, remember, during COVID. And it was hard to, people were getting in fights at stores over toilet paper. We don't want that to happen again. So that's why we're getting all this information for you. And by the way, you're the boss of me. So you tell me what shows you would like to see, and I'm listening. So you can send an email with any ideas, or if you want me to do some research, this is not all the books I've got. I've got a huge library. So I'll be glad to look up some information for you. So you can send an email to donna@donnasedge.com. That's donna@donnasedge.com. Speaking of research, DeJoly is one of my friends, and she hasn't been on the show in quite a while. We've both been busy. She's been on speaking engagements, and she's written another book. And lots of things are going on in her life as well. So I'm glad we could carve out 30-minute show today. I'm glad we could make this happen. Well, one of the things, DeJoly, that people want to know about is tinctures. And I don't know that much about it myself. So I'm hoping you can help fill me in.
Well, I think we have a lot of mutual information, and some that you have that I don't have, and vice versa. So I feel free to add in anything that you want to say about this, because I've been doing it for many years, but I have some special ones that I like mostly, and so I haven't really investigated everything. But I want to give the basics of how to do a tincture and what they're good for, because sometimes we not sure why we're taking a tincture, but tinctures are used. They can be either done in alcohol or vinegar, white vinegar. The other kind makes things happen that you don't want to happen with an herb that you want just to have it in there. So, but I like to use the alcohol that they recommend, which is vodka. And it's really just simple, nothing impressive.
Now, that looks like what I use for my vanilla flavoring. And I've got to say this, I get the vanilla bean, and I'll cut it open, and then I'll get a knife, and I'll just kind of take all that awesomeness out of it. And I've got vanilla flavoring that I put up in a pint jar that's got to be at least 4 years old. It just keeps forever.
Well, tinctures are made to last 20 years. You can use them forever until they run out, and then you want to make some more, or you can keep restocking. But I have here tinctures that I made in 2016, plus even more closely, but I like to make the tinctures because they go directly into your body. It's like taking a homeopathic medicine, a little tablet you put under your tongue. Well, that's the same thing that you do with a tincture, because it goes directly into your system. And tinctures actually, because it's alcohol, it absorbs all of the nutrients and all of the goodness of the actual herb that you're putting in there. And sometimes you can combine herbs depending on what kind of thing that you're trying to work with. Like you could be working with asthma that you were talking about earlier, or cancer, or rheumatoid arthritis, or you could be working with broken bones. I mean, a lot of different things you can combine to make a more potent tincture. Now, tinctures themselves can be put in any variety of little jar, right? They don't have to be a special jar, but they have to be sterilized. So they recommend washing them with soap and water. And if you have a dishwasher, I'd run them through the dishwasher. So I'm just over here handing.
Let me ask you a question, and this is pertaining to containers. So I've heard some people say you really need to use a color jar, like an amber or maybe a cobalt blue or something like that. Does that really matter?
Not really, because you're going to put it in a dark place anyway. When you actually do the tincture, like I'm going to open up this little jar right here. What you're going to do is stuff this full of whatever herb you're working with. Like if you wanted to do echinacea, which has a lot of antibiotic and antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory, you just keep stuffing it in until there are the leaves on the echinacea plant, but you stuff it in. And also you can use the flowers for other things, but the certain herbs you use the flower. Sometimes you only use the leaves, and sometimes you can use the stem, the leaves, and the flower. So it just depends on what you're making. But you stuff it full, and then you push it down a little bit so that it's not right up at the top, and you cover that entirely with alcohol, and put the lid back on and set it aside. Now the first thing you're going to do though is label it, because oftentimes we put things in our cabinet that we don't know when we made it. So you label it with the date, what it is, and if it's in alcohol, olive oil, because you can do olive oil too. But anything that you used, you want to put that on the label. So the date, the item, what kind of herb it is, and so on. So then you're going to put it in your cabinet, and for 10 days minimum, you're going to take it out of the cabinet and you're going to shake it. You're just going to shake it like that, and then put it back in the dark. Okay. Now you can use the amber or the blue, but I don't use the amber or the blue until I'm actually working with putting it in something that I'm going to use it in. Like, like I've got these little
droppers.
Droppers, yeah. Thank you. It takes two to make a word. So you just take whatever you want out of the original and put it into a jar. And if it's into one of these blue or amber bottles, and like sometimes you want to use a spray, so you put a spray top on this. Sometimes you want to actually use a top that has a hole in it, so you just pour it like on a dishwashing detergent, where you have a lid that flops open and you can squirt it. That's the kind of lid you want for if you're going to put it on a cotton swab, so to speak. Or if you're just going to use this screws back down on, and you've got but you only make enough at a time in order for you to use it so it doesn't go bad or doesn't go weak. So
well, let me ask you a question about the herbs. Okay, because I dry herbs as well. And of course I have my fresh herbs in the summertime. So does it matter whether it's dried or whether it's a fresh herb?
Well, if you're using the fresh, it's obviously going to be more powerful, because when you dry an herb, it starts losing its qualities, but it's still good because you can put it in something that's airtight and it stays fresh to the extent that it can. They like for you to use the sunlight in order to dry them, but oftentimes there isn't enough sunlight, so you can put them someplace where they're not going to get dusty and they're that kind of thing. You want to dry them in a place where it's safe for them to dry and for you to use them later on, but they're still good. And some of these herbal things are just only dried. So you kind of have to look it up on, we have the Google, we have all kinds of resources available for us to know exactly what we're using. And then the way that we put it together, whether it's two herbs or one herb or whatever, because comfrey is one of the common ones that you can combine with other things.
I love comfrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about comfrey, because comfrey is one of the most versatile. I'm using it in gardening, and it has such a huge tap root. If you put it by a fruit tree, it's going to help nourish that fruit tree forever.
Well, right. Well, comfrey actually is, you use the root mainly. You dig up the root and you clean it up, dry it off, and then you put it in a grinder, and then you put it in your tincture bottle. Because in fact, that's one of the things that you would need a jar like this for, because it's got a wide enough lid, because the comfrey root turns into kind of a mash, right? Mm-hmm. So you put it in this along with whatever other herb you're going to use. Comfrey is kind of like one of those things that you use for, like, if you've got a broken bone, you can use it to mend the bone, and healing skin wounds that are, they're already a little bit healed. You don't want to put alcohol right on an open wound, but you can use the actual, the leaf or the whatever you're supposed to use on it, to use on the wound as a poultice, actually. Mm-hmm. So comfrey is very good. It stops your bleeding. It can reduce your swelling, pain. It's kind of like it draws the fluid out of your body. So if you chew on it, it's gonna start acting as a diuretic. Not for weight loss. Not for weight loss. But,
I was about to ask.
What?
I was about to ask.
I wouldn't use it for that, because you can overdose on things just like you can on pharmaceuticals. You can do the same with herbs. In fact, I wanted to mention, there are some pharmaceuticals that interact or counteract the work that you're doing with the herb. So it's better for you to find out whether you be careful, and also to ask a pharmacist or a naturalist, which you're going to become. And yeah, I hear you. I hear that. But usually if you have like a sprain and it swells up, if you use comfrey, the swelling will come down.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're beekeepers, and every once in a while you're going to get stung by a bee. So I would imagine it's good for that as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, you can actually use the leaves from a comfrey plant, just like you can on, it's not lamb's ears. What's the name of that? I think it's that fuzzy plant that's I think it is lamb's ears, but you can use that as a poultice right away. Just kind of smash it a little bit, and all of the juices come out, and you put it on the bee sting, and it's gone. So, yeah.
I got to tell you something really funny. So I was at a class a couple years ago about beekeeping, and they had a speaker there, and this speaker just said that sometimes, when women sometimes are getting, like fill-ins for their skin or whatever on their face, you can actually use bees to let them sting. I started laughing. I thought he was just being funny. And he said, no, really. He said, there are women who pay big money to get stung by bees on their face.
Wow.
Instead of getting these injections, to puff up their skin. I think I'll just keep the wrinkles. But anyway.
I honor wrinkles. I love wrinkles.
I'm good with it. But there are natural remedies, things you can do without getting collagen put in. And there are some herbs that actually are natural collagen producers.
Now there are. And I don't right off the top know which ones they are, but I know that,
I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one. That's an orange. If you'll get I forgot which orange it is, but it has really thick, that white stuff that people don't want, they're always throwing it away. That is full of collagen. So I've been dehydrating it. The whole, I'll go ahead and cut it into about 1/8-inch slices and put them in my dehydrator, and I powder them. So every single morning with our vinegar and whatever, it's so good for you. It's so good for your skin.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The pith is what everybody wants to throw away.
I knew it was good stuff, but I've never known anybody that's done that powdering and using it on their skin. I've known that that's, Yeah.
You can't even taste the powder. You can't even taste the pith because it's mixed in there. And I've made a powder form out of it. But I wanted to ask you a question. This is getting back. Oh my goodness, we've got to go into it. Half the show is already over. Let's go into a commercial break. I've got to ask you a question about the leaves itself. I'll be right back. Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, wherever you are. We're always glad to get information out there to you. And I've got someone who is the master of this, and we're talking about tinctures. Her name is DeJoly, and she's an author. She's a speaker. She's been on the speaking circuit. She's been all over the place. So I finally tagged her and got her still for 30 minutes to be on this show. So let's talk a little bit about tinctures. And so you were talking about using herbs. So the one thing, and maybe I didn't catch it, are you supposed to tear the leaves or the herbs? Does that maybe put an extract of some kind of oil in those tinctures, or do you just put them in there whole?
Did you say tear as TEAR?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tear the leaves.
Yes. Right. You need to do that. And that's not necessarily tear them, but you can crunch on them, like take a fork and just punch them, or you can just, all you have to do is bruise them to the point where you can see that, like if you have a leaf and it's green, there might be dark green in the spots where you poke it. That's coming out. That's what's going to happen. Like, for instance, if you want to have a tea, like a mint tea for your stomach ache, then you would poke a few, and you can actually just roll up mint in your hand like that. Just roll it up and then drop it in the water and let it steep, and that will help your stomach ache. It'll also help your breath, but that's what
people did back in the day. I mean, they didn't go around with dirty breath. They would chew on mint leaves.
That's right. That's right. You know, when I was in high school, I was a assistant in the nurses department, and they had little bottles of peppermint oil for people who came in with stomach aches. They didn't give drugs back in my day. They didn't give drugs. They gave the natural stuff. So, yeah, you can use all kinds of things, but the leaves are really good. Now, cleavers. Have you ever heard of using cleavers? You know, those things that you walk through and they're so sticky that they stick to your legs as you walk by. Not the pokey things, but they're green and they have little orangey yellow flowers and all that stuff. Well, cleavers are for your urinary tract. So you make that you know, it's a tincture out of that. But the stems, if you get them when they're really first out, they're very delicate, but they're really strong. In other words, they're soft, you can chew them. And that's also good for your urinary tract, but you don't want to overdose on anything. I'm going to tell you right now, don't do that, or you'll be sitting in the bathroom for a while.
A long time.
But cleavers are also good for like fertility things, fertility issues that you might have, both in men and women. It could be that your menstrual cycle is being really weird, or you're having extra bleeding. You want to do some cleavers. So when you make these tinctures, if you have them on your shelf and you have them labeled what they're for, then you can just go in there and get that and use it for whatever your ailment is at the time. And sometimes you mix them with water because they're very powerful. So that's why you don't want to use the whole thing all at once. You want to just take enough to use for a couple of days, and you mix it half and half with water, and then you've got your tincture. You can use it as a spray, because sometimes you want to spray things on your skin too. Like for acne, you can use stuff, and just for bruises and for wounds that are not open, they're scabby, but they're still enough that you can encourage healing. Let me put it that way. Encourage healing.
Yeah, a lot of it's frame of mind. But I wanted to ask you a question too, because it's early spring. We're beginning to see little dandelions all over the place.
Oh my God, I love dandelions.
I love dandelions. I like to put them in salads. I like to make a tea out of them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to make a tea? You kind of talked about it.
You can use every part of the dandelion, from the root all the way up through the flower. But they're related to the pansy and the wild, not iris. What are they called? Wild. They look like little irises, but violets, wild violets. They're related. They're all in that same family, and they have very similar properties. I personally like to let most of my dandelions stay because that's the first meal of our pollinators. But you know, now I have I already have dandelions started, so I might take a few and use the root for one thing and use the flower for another. So what do you use it for?
I like tea.
Yeah, dandelion tea.
Out of it. It's really good. But also like sunflower tea, marigold tea. Mm-hmm. And I used to make, those seeds you gave me with the marigolds that just like exploded to make this huge bush.
I know.
And I love them. I love them. That makes the absolute best tea. And so I made a sugar water, or sugar syrup out of it. And so I just got some sugar and some water, and then I just cooked it in it, and I let it sit overnight. And then I drained it, and then I canned it. So all winter long, I've been drinking that tea, and it's really good. You won't take much now because you use sugar water. So just a couple of tablespoons in a glass of water, and you're good.
Well, that's very similar to other flowers, like the hibiscus is used for heart problems, and you can actually make a tea out of that. You can also make a tincture out of it. So it's kind of like multifaceted, you know. But yeah, on a dandelion, you can use every bit of it, from the leaves to the flowers to the root.
You know, I made some tea out of blueberry leaves.
Ooh.
And it's good.
Really?
But it's better if you'll save some of the blueberries, because it kind of has a little bitter taste. But if you'll get the blueberries and save some of them and dry them along with the leaves, and then just kind of crunch them up just a little bit, put them in a jar and preserve the jar, you know, and take the oxygen with the oxygen packet or whatever, And I'm going to tell you what, that tea is good. It's remarkable. You can smell the tea. The aroma of the tea smells so good in this house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's the brain.
I love making different teas out of herbs. And a lot of them are just wild around here, On the mountain, you can get those little irises, not just the pansy ones, but the irises that come up. Those are very usable. Leaves from different spots, different plants that come up, just like, whoa, where'd that come from? Those little tiny little pink and purple flowers. Those are also usable. I can't remember the name of them right now at the moment, but those are definitely usable for teas and herbal mixtures. Like you would add it into things like calendula and that kind of stuff.
What kind of flowers do you like to use in salads?
I like pansies and dandelions, and I like the little irises that come up. They only stand up maybe 2 or 3 inches, and I also like to use my bee balm. I like the bee balm. It's a very pretty flower, but it's also very tasty. But yeah. So do you just use your dandelion, or do you use something else?
I use other things too. I like marigolds in my salad too.
Oh yeah.
Anything, just make sure that it's good for you. Make sure that it's medicinal.
And I think that there's also that factor of, if it's yours and it's in your yard, that it doesn't have any pesticides on it, because there's no sense in making a tea or a tincture out of something that's poisoned. You're not going to want to use it. So it's really nice to have, like we have outside of a city limit kind of stuff. We have clean air, we have clean water, and so we have the opportunity to have fresh and not pesticide covered things.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go along the interstate and look for and forage for for anything.
No, and there are lots of great stuff along the interstate, but boy, I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't even use it along city roads. Just like out here on our country roads, because there's plenty of traffic that comes through. I mean, if you walk in maybe 20 or 30 feet and there's still something there, I might get that, but not right there at the edge of the road, because the pollution from the exhaust and all that stuff is just ridiculous. I just
would not do that. That's not healthy. We're on a farm. We got 38 acres. I feel at ease with what I get here.
That's right.
So we've got a minute left in this segment. Can you believe this? Okay, so we've got a minute left. How can folks find out more about you for speaking engagements and maybe your writing materials?
Okay, well, right now, the best place to find me is on Facebook and Instagram, DeJoly LaBrier. And I have a couple of websites. One is about healing from all kinds of issues, abuse mainly. And the other one is about my coaching. So I do right now I'm doing a lot of writing coaching. And oftentimes it leads into life coaching, because things come up, when you're writing, journaling, or whatever, things come up. So they end up using me that way. But those are the best ways, Facebook and Instagram.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm glad we caught up with each other.
Me too. I am too. It's so long, I can't believe it.
Well, hang around after the show. I'm going to go ahead and get another day set up for you, if that's okay. If you can hang around just for a few minutes before we have a next guest.
Awesome.
And I appreciate you guys for watching. I know that you're taking some time out of your day to do that, and we definitely appreciate that. Keep sending messages. I'm going to tell you what, it makes me feel good, makes me feel like I'm doing something I'm supposed to be doing. So any suggestions, want me to do a little bit of research, I'll be tickled to do that for you. DeJoly, I was the nerd in school that hung out at the library, so I still haven't changed.
I wondered about that.
I still like to do that. I was the geek, yeah. So, but anyway, thank you so much for watching. You guys take care. DeJoly, hang around. I'll talk to you for a second after the show.
Okay.
All right,
sure.
Hang out. See y'all later.